Did you miss out on Unsigs? Did someone tell you? I hope you didn't miss out on Entheos AI, because they are the new Unsigs. They're not. And in this episode of CCC, I will tell you why not and what they are instead. I'm Niels, and I managed to miss out on both Unsigs and Entheos AI. Welcome to CCC Episode 2. A bi-weekly show about the Cardano NFT scene. CCC's name has been finalized, and I ended up going with CNFTs, coding, and cats. The voting was fierce, and between the two people in the comments section that had an opinion, I had the choice between cats and chads. As I didn't plan to alienate a whole group of people simply based on their name, I went with the name that aligns with our stake pool Hazel's mission. Supporting and educating people about kitten fostering while donating to cat shelters. Stake with Hazel, save a cat. One friendly disclaimer at this point, nothing I share should be considered financial advice. I am in the CNFT scene because I enjoy it. All right, let's talk about some projects. Let's start with Entheos versus Unsigs. So on Sunday, September 19th, which for me is tomorrow at 8 p.m. UTC, Entheos AI will launch their Epoch 2. If you missed their first Epoch launch of 10,000 NFTs on September 6th, you'll have a chance to literally create something unique again tomorrow. The drop earlier this month went without a hitch, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed this will be the case again. Aside from Entheos AI, the artist and developer behind the project, Linda of Twitter fame from Malu Pool, is leading the outreach and community management. And they've done a really fun contest lately for the Epoch 1 holders, where they voted on the prettiest and ugliest Entheos creations. By the way, I have done the work of finding the ugliest one, and there's no need for a contest anymore. In general, they've been pretty good at engaging the community and not just selling and then nothing to be heard from them ever again. I was able to talk to the developer of the project on Discord yesterday, and we had a really fun conversation about some of the technicalities of the project, how it works from a development and software and algorithm perspective. And in addition to that, there's also lots of details around how the whole project was thought up, how it works, and what kind of NFTs they're even making on their website, which I'll link in the description below. Shortly after the launch on Twitter, I came across a couple of tweets from folks that were discussing how unsigned holders were diamond hands and Entheos holders were just trying to flip because at no point in time there were ever 30% of unsigned algorithms on the secondary market. And while I agree that it is different in terms of like what the communities are, I think that is mostly related to the fact that we have a completely different audience at this time in the CNFT space than we had when the Unsigned Algorithms launched at the end of May. Back then we had a lot of OG folks that were in Cardano because they believed in the mission. And as we grow as a community, we will just have a more diverse group of people, and that will include people that are just here to make money off CNFTs. There's nothing wrong with that, and I don't think we should try to, it's them versus us or anything like that, especially because the Entheos community that I have talked to, the people that actually are engaged, those are not those people that just, buy it for 30 ADA and then sell it for 200 ADA on CNFT 10 minutes later. Beyond just the market conditions and those discussions, there was a lot of comparison also between how they're the same style of project, and people would think, hey, they're colorful, they're generative, they are kind of the same thing, right? And so that would also kind of fuel the fire of discussion among people. And what I've found myself thinking immediately was, they're not the same at all. So here we go, and I'll tell you a little bit about why they have not as much in common as you think they do. So yes, they're both generative art on the blockchain, and they're both very colorful. But that's pretty much where the similarities end. Entheos is a artificial intelligence-based algorithm, and is using neural networks internally. That means it is modeled after how the human brain interprets information, sending signals from one neuron to another. And the algorithm has an aspect of learning that is based on previous experience, or in this case, sample data. If you look at the overall algorithm, it is fairly involved and There are multiple pages on the website that they have that explains in detail how the algorithm was derived and what kind of components it involves and how much computing power is required to actually make that happen. And that means the art generation part of the minting process is extremely resource intensive. It costs multiple thousands of dollars just for the compute power to provide at launch when the minting process happens, because they are generated as you mint them. Unsigned position themselves much more as blockchain as a medium, meaning it's a simple and deterministic procedural algorithm that is stored on-chain and could technically run by everyone in the world if they know how to do it. The biggest difference to me, though, is in how the art comes to life. With Entheos, there are 2 consecutive AI algorithms, the first one generating seed images based on randomization that is then fed to the second algorithm to hallucinate on. That is a really cool perspective to see it from. Because of the random component, you will never get the same Entheos piece twice, even though you can feed the algorithm your own parameters when you mint. You can, for example, select a category for your Entheos, and if you want, a clean background or a design one. That is another major difference from Unsigned, where you do not have a say in what your image looks like at all. Alexander from Unsigned Algorithms has instead done the hard work of curating the possible outcomes of the algorithm and limited the collection to the ones that would be most appealing and interesting. That is why there are only 31,119 Unsigned when there could have been 50 million. There's 2 other mention-worthy commonalities between the 2 projects. The first tidbit is that they're both written in the programming language Python. The second, and much more relevant, is that both projects give pretty much full ownership and rights to you, the buyer. Print them, resell them, make derivative art out of it, it's all your choice. In the end, it's not us versus them. Pick a project that appeals to you. That can be for the art itself or the community. I, for one, am looking forward to what Entheos has in store for us going forward. So be ready for the drop on September 19th, Sunday at 8 p.m. UTC. The first time that Entheos generates images in 4K, which is a higher resolution than they had in the first epoch. And there's 2 new style categories that I can't tell you what they are, but I've seen them and they make for very good new entries into the Entheos world. This is also going to be the last epoch where 1 or 2 of the existing styles will be available. Let's move on to Cardanospace. So Cardanospace is a 2D billboard with utility. It's the first of its kind on Cardano, and it's been ongoing since a while now. They launched early September, and they're about to sell out. If they're not sold out already, I'm not 100% sure. This week, they started with what they call the second round of Earth drops. This is an opportunity for you, the owner of a Cardanospace, to upload a specific type of content, and then you can win NFTs. You actually are guaranteed to get a party favor, you can win rares, and at the end of the whole thing, which is on the 21st, you will have an opportunity to be judged by a jury of a lot of famous NFT artists in the Cardano space. And that jury will essentially pick, each of them will pick their favorite to give away a 1 out of 1 mint of one of their NFTs that they specifically provided to the Cardanospace project. So I'm pretty excited about that. It'll take me a bit, probably on Sunday or Monday, to make my own piece that I'm gonna upload. While it was hard to initially upload to the Cardanospace that you owned, they've greatly simplified that, where you just put in the data that you need and then you send in your NFTs, you get them back, and your new images are uploaded. So they did a great job of making that available for the everyday person. Last I looked, they had roughly 400 spots left, but I'm pretty sure that by the time this goes online, it's either sold out or will sell out in the day. On to Cardano City. They're at around 20,000 sold out of the 50,000 total, so it's progressing slowly, but not much, overall. It's not even half. Their website still does not work reliably. You can go there and then it'll show you some of the drops that are already sold out, but it says, hey, there's still one available. Can't really get anything. There's nothing in terms of community management that the team has put together, really. Their Discord has grown and the community itself is actively engaging with each other, but there's not really anything official that has been announced. Neither on their website, it hasn't changed, nothing on Twitter really. And so there's not much to report of, what kind of utility is awaiting us or if the metaverse is really coming. It's the same info that we had weeks ago. If you have something to report on what is coming, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just look in this fake room 50,000 that I made to see if there's anything in those boxes. Then we have the WizardCrypt WizardSpells. They are a new project that is currently ongoing in sale. They're CSS animations that are fully on-chain, and they look kind of cool, and you can acquire them for like a decent price. They're also the first project that I've seen that is implementing the royalty standard proposal, CIP 0027. It is kind of a proposal that embeds in the metadata of a artificially generated token that is part of the policy the information as to kind of what percentage of the sales in secondary sales you would like to receive as the original artist and what address that should go to. There's ongoing discussions if that should be part of the actual metadata standard that's being discussed in CIP 25, but currently it looks like CIP 27 is actually going to go its own way. But even with CIP 25 and CIP 27 in place, because there's smart contracts that are just come out, this space will be interesting to watch for the next couple of months, because with smart contracts just make everything more powerful and give us many more options that we'll be seeing. Apropos smart contracts, there's another great collection that dropped last week at the launch of smart contracts. It is the Icons collection by New Mindflow. Their sale will go until the 27th of September, and I really love the art. It's very unique, and they also have common and rare and epic drops. They are also the first NFT that embeds a whole smart contract in their metadata. So they're not minted using smart contract, but they have a smart contract in them. And if you go to the Twitters of New Mindflow and Ancient Kraken, they actually have instructions and a video on how to run that. That leads me to the next topic, really short, but here's the first CNFT created by smart contracts, and that was shown on the IOHK Summit stream that they had going on September 12th. Then we had the Seadinos relaunch. They essentially had a faceplant in their first attempt, and the second attempt, they tried to make, a Cloudflare waiting room. That also broke like right when the launch was going, and then in the end, they had to do it some other way. It worked out, but it shows that even those big projects that have a lot of support don't really have a perfect plan on how to make things smooth for us, the buyers. Now, last week they auctioned off a golden Mosasaurus that is a one of a kind out of 9 Mosasaurus that exist across the 4,444 total Seadinos. If you want to explore your collections, if you want to find out, what is my rarity levels and so on, you can go to the websites, but I highly recommend you also take a look at the 2 fantastic and free websites, TokenRef and CNFT.tools. Both are nice tools that some of the collections actually use to, explore rarities, traits. Current sale prices are available. CNFT.io at the moment, and I can't believe Token.io is, far behind. And it's a really nice way to kind of compare. All right, and then we have Claymates. We can't go without talking about Claymates. They are the topic of the last 2 weeks. Still today, the biggest thing that's being talked about. So for those that don't know, the Claymates started out as one of the original projects on the Cardano blockchain in the CNFT space. They started in April with small batches of stop-motion clay NFTs, and they were founded by now IOHK community manager Len, which we all know and love. Compared to a lot of other projects, they have been doing many collaborations with different NFT artists. They've worked with the Claybuds, they've worked with the Cardano Bits, they've made like a Boot Wellies collab with Unsigned, the Hoskinsons, and the Cardano Trees. And then they have their own spin-offs like the Claymates Garage. A little more than a week ago though, they finally launched a profile picture style Clay Nation with 10,000 mints, and that sold out within hours. It was smooth as butter, and the interest was extreme. So again, this shows you there are sales that work very well, and then there are sales that don't. We should definitely check out what do the teams do that make a smooth launch, because we can learn from them. People started going nuts for the Clay Nation right away. Lots of enthusiasm by the holders. Their Discord is like gigantic at this point, and the floor prices have reached over 1,000. Considering they're just more than a week old, there has been a sale volume of 4 million ADA on CNFT.io in the last 7 days. Talk about a project that explodes. This did not come from nothing though, because instead of hyping and not building a community, the Claymates have been creating and sharing with the community since they first arrived in April. They've consistently posted information about, what's coming up, who are they working with, and, what went well and what didn't go so well. And in my opinion, this is how you win the Cardano community. By collaborating openly and actively with other projects and embracing them without expecting things in return.
P.S. I missed out on those too.
Then we have Deadpxlz. The Deadpxlz Season 2 sold out. I mentioned them last time, and they have a really fun mint mechanism where you have 3 chains that you can pick from. You see ahead of time what kind of item you will get, and you can explore the rarity levels. There's some legendary drops and fun other items. In the last season, you got merchandise. You have vault keys, which you can get like special drops. And all in all, that project has a lot of enthusiastic folks as well, especially the main developer, who's really active within the community and is always looking for ways to make the mechanism and the drops more fun. Then a quick mention about this Tiger Society. They look, among all the projects that I've looked at over the last few weeks, the most like one of those copies from Ethereum projects. I think the art is, not a just, okay, this is a Bored Ape or this is a Doge Pound, but the style really reminded me of that. However, they fully botched their launch. It did not go well at all. And after the problems occurred and they didn't know what to do really within the short time, they fully locked up their Discord. Like there was nothing you could say. All the channels were essentially silenced. And when all the dust settled, they didn't even have all their 10,000 tigers minted. So I think they have a little bit more than 8,000 now, and that's it. They're calling it. They're not minting anymore. So that's how you don't do a project, in my opinion. Talking about Ethereum, there is another project that I want to mention, and that's the Ethermobs. They are an Ethereum project, the first so far, that moved to Cardano. They announced that on their Twitter a couple of days ago. They essentially said, the gas fees are too high and I can't afford running the project like that. They will remain the Ethermobs by name. When they announced this, the whole community came together and kind of embraced that. Both the folks from Ethereum said, oh yeah, okay, we understand, as well as the Cardano community, which said, hey, yeah, come over to us. We love to have you. Could have gone the other way and, people wrinkling their noses at it. I'm glad that did not happen. They don't have a specific launch date yet, but I'll link them in the description below, and then you can check out when they are partying. Let's talk some more about other chains. Let's talk about Solana. One of the things that I noted, and this is not really a project drop, but I saw that there were a couple of tweets, making fun of how Solana's NFT projects, they're all Sol something, something, something. Let me find a couple of examples. So we've got Sol Punks, Sol Llamas, Sol Apes, Sol Sea, which is the OpenSea version for Solana. They've got Sol Animals, Sol Lions, and Sol Bears. They also have some clever names like Soul Snatchers, which I think is a nice play on words. But then I looked at Cardano and I figured, let's check, before anybody makes fun of anyone, let's check if we're any better. Turns out, I scrolled just through the verified projects, even on CNFT.io, and there is a lot of ADA something somethings. Again, this is not lack of creativity on one blockchain. You can see this everywhere. Ether something, Sol something, ADA something. We also have a bunch of Cardano something. I believe the bigger problem really isn't the name, but the art creativity. We have ADA punks and we have T punks and we have Sol punks, but they're all the same. I would prefer if we could come up with original projects that really blow people's minds and think less about what are we naming them. And the only way that we can prevent that happening as a community is by not buying them. Okay, last but not least, let's go over some of the ongoing drops. Cryptophages is still going. They have been running for a couple weeks now. Shapes ADA are also still ongoing. CNFT Art had some interesting thoughts on them as well as to what kind of rarity levels exist. Nifty Teddy, you should check him out. As I mentioned earlier, there's WizardCrypt, WizardSpells, the CSS animations. We still have ongoing the Alonso upload party from Cardanospace, which I think you should, just get a Cardanospace and upload something. You'll get a free NFT. And I'm sure there's many more that I can't list because it is just too many to keep track of. So what's upcoming? Well, let's take a look at the calendar. We have Entheos on Sunday. We have Ionium Sky launching next Saturday. We actually have a couple of projects launching next Saturday when the conference goes. We have the Booblies, which they are not available yet, but they have announced when they are starting, and this will be at the beginning of October. They will announce something on the 1st, and then they have the launch on the 8th. It's really unique, as in those don't all look the same. They're very distinct, which I believe is something that, you can't say for every project. We have ADA Hits Drop 1, we have ADA Pals Season 2. Next Friday, we actually have Unsigned Algorithms, which is also a generative art project that's been hyped. For more launch dates, check out the calendar I linked in the description and the ever-growing website whencnft.com. If you want your project mentioned, make sure to report it via the Google form linked in the description below, and I'll add it to the calendar and check it out. If you ever have any questions about CNFT projects, drop by our Discord or join our Monday and Wednesday Twitch streams at 7 p.m. Pacific. Thanks for coming by today and enjoy your drops this week. We have a fantastic next weekend full of hype and the Cardano Summit. So see you next weekend and stay frosty.